Welcome, welcome to the Advanced Manifestation Community's first Facebook Live. I am so excited to be here and excited that you're here too. We're going to be going live. Well, I'm going to be going live with my team here every week and to provide some juicy, awesome content on advanced manifestation for seasoned manifestors. So if you've been through the guide section, I highly recommend going through the guide section. That's where our mini course is, but also a free cheat sheet on how to ensure your desires actually show up. Some of the biggest pitfalls I've seen over the last 12 years of facilitating consciousness and dreams coming true and living magic and higher consciousness and 5D magic and all that kind of good stuff, quantum creation, that when we are sort of stuck in these pitfalls, it seems like everything should be working, but it's not. So what I wanted to do with this group is really provide a space where we're having this ongoing conversation that we can access what is truly possible. Because what I know is that when you have been seeking for a long time, especially those of us who, we've already been through The Secret and What the Bleep and Law of Attraction and like all the things that we've done and we've learned in our journeys, that if we're not living the magical life in the 5D yet, there's certain things that are very common for people that I want to help and assist people to move through. And that's really what's become my specialty over the last few years, is moving people through this sort of eye of the needle to get to the other side. Because what we know is that if you've been going for this, like wanting to know that your magic wand works, if you are in this world, you've been doing the law of attraction, all that stuff, then it's possible for you. It's possible to have magical living. It's possible to have everything you desire show up in your reality. It's possible to not have problems anymore. It's possible. All of that's possible. How do you have it? So that's what this group is all about, is bridging that last gap. Because it's not for lack of knowledge, it's not for lack of effort, it's not for lack of trying. And I know I work with a lot of coaches, I work with experts in really dialing that in so that your life is attuned to the 5D field. So welcome to our first live stream. Dun, dun, dun. I'm Cory Michelle. If you don't know me yet, you're gonna get to know me. And my quirkiness and my obsession with magical living, the 5D creation field, and really assisting people who already are functioning in that 5D space, but have been conditioned and entrained into the 3D and the 4D consciousness. So we're going to be talking about all of that over the next few months and with what we have to offer. And I hope that at some point you come to play with us, whether it's in this group or whether it's in one of our programs, to go deeper, to really dial that in. But I really hope that these videos and these live streams are a contribution for you. So if you're here live with us, I would love for you to say hi below. And let's get going on today's topic. Let me just check one thing here. There we go. Okay, so... Okay, cool. All right, so the topic for today is, why isn't my magic wand working already? It's there. I know it's there. I've been working on this. Why isn't it working already? I've got 3 main things for you today to take away that can be really, really helpful when you are wanting things to show up, when you're wanting to manifest your reality, right? And if you've already gone through the... Actually, hold on one second. I just want to make sure that this is working properly and it's live streaming into the group. How do I join? 1 minute. I don't see where I'm live. Hold on one second here. You should be able to click that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so that's live. Okay, cool. We're good. Okay, just click above. So you just have to click the video, that link on there. There we go. Okay, now we know that. Okay, so I've got 3 things for you today. Now, these 3 things, okay, here's what I find a lot of. I've worked with thousands of people, right? And I've worked with a lot of people deeply. So really getting to know over a year their process and what stops people. So my whole attention is in how do you get from here to here, right? How do we bridge that gap? But also, what is in the way? Okay. And I have today 3 of the most common reasons why your magic wand isn't working, why what you want to have isn't showing up in your reality yet. Now, number 1 is it's not because it's not possible. Actually, that's a bonus. That wasn't even on my list. But prefacing was saying it's not because it's not possible. And you got to get this. If you get this, if you don't have it already, if you get this, it kind of bridges all gaps. And that is, if you can imagine it, if you can tune into it, it's possible. Okay? And when you say yes to it, it's possible. So then why isn't it showing up? Okay? So number 1, if you're not tuning in and saying yes fully, to the potential, or you have maybe a limiting belief or something like that it's not possible, then that could be a block right there. But those are traditional ones, like if beliefs and things like that, those are things that we work with in the 5D Vibe Tribe. We actually do what's called a super conscious transmutation of energy patterns. It's called a shift session, where we are shifting those energy patterns, rewiring your brain basically, and just eliminating those beliefs and stepping you into the future self. But that's like stuff that's out there. It's common. Like you can read a book on that. But what else could there be that's in the way of this? Okay. Now, number 1, I got my little list here. Are you following through? So when you say, so actually tell me, what would you like to manifest? What would you like to manifest that's not showing up yet? Okay, look at something specific. Are you following through? Are you following through on your awarenesses? Now that's a key. When you start following through on your awarenesses, then that will lead you to every connection point in the field that will put that manifestation, physical manifestation together. Now, what this requires is you stepping into knowing that you are on your path and trusting that it will show up. Now, what happens is one of the reasons why we don't follow our awareness is because we think that doesn't really make sense. Most of our awarenesses are nonlinear. They're going to come from the field. They're not coming from our logical mind. They're coming in some other way. Now, you've probably already worked with your intuition. You've probably already worked with your awareness. But are you following the awarenesses that will lead to and create what you're asking for or not? So sometimes we get stopped because we go, oh, well, it doesn't really look like it's going to happen. Or we believe it's not going to happen. And we don't follow through. Now, sometimes, and here's where I think the secret and the law of attraction really sort of can mess up our mind in our application of the follow through. And that is when, how do I say this? That is when we go, oh, that just happened, so I guess it's not meant to be. I hear that a lot of something happens or it feels heavy, so then we don't follow through. And sometimes we need to follow through when it's heavy or when it takes a little work or maybe a little bit extra effort or maybe it doesn't even make sense. And that is the question to ask there is this: if I choose this, if I do this, if I follow through this, what will it create? And you want to get a sense of that because every one of your actions creates. And sometimes the action doesn't seem like something you want to do. Like, for example, yesterday I was selling my car. My car sold super fast. And then I was going to take it to get it detailed, but I didn't have time. I had a day. And so I had to detail the car. I didn't really want to detail the car, but it was really obvious. I didn't even have to ask. If I detail this car, what will that create? Right? I need to detail the car. It wasn't even that dirty, but I wanted the car to be presented nicely like a new car, going to this new buyer, right? And that would have made me feel good. So as I'm detailing the car, it's hot, it's humid. I was like, I don't really want to be doing this, but I let go of the resistance. And I went, you know what? I'm going to detail the car. and I'm going to have fun with it. And I'm going to love on this car the whole time I'm doing it. I was so flipping hot. I was so flipping heavy. And then halfway through it started raining, right? And so I was like, you know what? If I don't have any resistance to this, I can follow through. And the new owners were so happy. And they were like, oh my God, you just made it look so shiny and new. And they were so excited to get into the car and drive it off. And I felt really good about that too. So it created this win-win-win, because the car really liked it as well. Win-win-win, a triple win for everybody. So that is more of my priority than the resistance and settling. So if you're doing settling energy, if you're making excuses, if you're like, oh, it'll be okay, those sorts of things, instead of following through on those awarenesses of sometimes the things you don't want to do, then you're missing out on these connection points that will create more. Okay, so the question is, what will this create? If I choose this, what will it create? Okay, so that's number one, not following through. Are you following through on those awarenesses all the way? Even when stuff comes up, because that's really showing you where you can keep going and there'll be something greater on the other side. All right, the second one is, are you trying to get it right? Are you going for perfection or trying to get it right versus following your awareness? I see this happen all the time. People are like, well, I'm trying to do everything right. So everything I've learned about manifestation and whatever, I'm doing all the things. I have to do it all right. Well, manifestation and creating your life isn't a doing. There's not a correct sequence of things to do. There's not a right way. There's just the way. And ding. And when we're trying to do it right, what we do is we pigeonhole ourselves into only seeing and taking action on the things that we've deemed in the right order or the right timing or the right whatever. And so much of the time we're missing out on the awarenesses that come in that will show you when the correct time is. And the correct time is more like the universal time. Right? Be in the right place at the right time, the synchronicities and things like that. So, for example, a lot of times we get stuck in the linear of doing it right, even though we think we're more in the energetics, but we're actually in the linear. So are you trying to do it right? And you just ask yourself, am I trying to do it right? Or am I allowing it to show me how to create it? Now, this is what I call backwards manifestation. And that is because we're actually asking the question versus trying to project the journey before it's showing up. And I think one of the best examples, visuals of this is the Indiana Jones movie, where I think it was the first one, where he's standing at if you've seen this, he's standing at the cliff and there's a doorway or a cave or whatever they're in, and they're looking and there's a doorway on the other side and there's no bridge. There's no way to get across. It's just, some big cavern, and he has to trust that the next step is going to be there. And as he takes that next step, the actual step that he's going to step on, whatever that's called, it appears along the way. And that's exactly how it works. But that takes allowing yourself to trust that you are going in that direction, to take that next step and allow the journey to unfold versus trying to figure it all out. Because so much of the time when we're trying to figure it out, trying to get it right, we're trying to predict, where am I going? What am I doing? And that's not how it works. There is a dance that happens that allows you to see the next step when you step on it, right? It's like, oh, look, there it is. Okay, good. And building that trust and letting go of control, because that's oftentimes what the energetic addiction is the addiction of control and not trusting. Probably because you've had lots of experiences that you trusting turned bad. It didn't turn out well, right? So we've got to develop this trust in ourselves of our own journey, of our awareness, and knowing that every single step we take, every single action we take is going to lead to more when it's congruent, right? When it's aligned. Okay, so that was number 2. Now, number 3, dun, 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 number 3, bogus priorities. Now, I figured this out probably like 8 years ago, because so many of my clients were saying things like, oh, I want to create a business, or I want to have this much money, or I want to lose weight, or I want to whatever, I want to manifest a partner. But then what they would be actioning, what they'd be doing, spending their time on, putting their energy into was not that. So they'd say, ooh, I want to create a business and make, $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month or whatever. And then what they were doing was things like watching Netflix, people pleasing, putting time and energy into things that were not that. Or sometimes they would even be doing something like looking for a job. So they'd go, I'd really want to create my business. And then they'd go look for a job. That's what I call bogus priorities. You got something off in your priorities. And oftentimes, we don't even look at what are our priorities. But if you say you want to manifest something, you say you want to create something, you say you want to actualize something, experience into your life, or you want to become something or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever you'd like to have that's not real in your experience right now, then that's got to be a priority, right? So what does that mean? That means that if things are conflictual, like a bogus priority, so like if you say, oh, I want to create a business, but I'm watching Netflix instead, that's a bogus priority, because what you're doing is you're putting your energy into something that's not contributing to what you say you want. Now, creating your business doesn't mean you have to give up Netflix. But if you're addicted to Netflix and you're using it as an excuse, like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this, or this is too hard in my business, or I don't know, or I'm in overwhelm, and then you default to this thing that makes you feel good, or maybe your comfort zone, which Netflix is a great example of a comfort zone. Then we go, oh, so there's something uncomfortable about where you're going, which it should be. It should be uncomfortable because you're creating a whole new field of consciousness. And it's not familiar, but we go back to a comfort thing. And Netflix, super comfortable. Also super addictive, right? You can watch a whole bunch of Netflixes all in a row, and all of a sudden you're out 5 hours, right? Who's done that? I just did that recently watching the Manifest show. I got a little addicted to it. But when we're avoiding something, which is the uncomfort, then what happens is this it's also an energetic addiction of avoidance kicks in, and you start putting energy into something that is not what you are saying is your priority. So we also have this internal conflict. So we say, oh, I really want to create my business. I really want to be a contribution. I really want to do whatever that is. But my comfort zone, my energetic addiction is taking over. Okay. So you got to be clear about your priorities and know your priorities. Be present with your priorities. Set up targets for yourself. And we do a lot of this work in Creation Academy to get people set up in really being able to be streamlined. Because once you're streamlined and your priority is a real priority, it's a true priority, and you're willing to be uncomfortable, you're willing to take actions that you may never have taken, learn things you've never learned before, step into being a version of you you've never been, well, in your recent history, but is true for you. Then what happens is all of your field, the quantum field, starts arranging for that version of you, that reality, that actualization. When you're functioning from this inner conflict, which will have you focus on energetic addictions and bogus priorities, then what happens is the universe conspires for that. So that's when you see things happen where you're like, why is this still happening? Why isn't my magic working? Well, could be because are you following through? Do you have your priorities straight? And are you following your awareness, or are you trying to get it right? Okay. If you apply those three things, watch and see, it's like you just got to do a little cleanup. And it's really about the integrity to what is possible for you, right? This next level, whatever that is for you, or whatever you'd like to manifest into your life, or as your experience is really what's happening. Then if that's not a priority, then these three things will happen. And you can't force it to be a priority. It's got to just be how you function with your priorities. All right. So let me know below your ahas. What are you taking away? And also, what action can you action today that will move you forward and apply this awareness or whatever you got from today's live to your life, so you start to embody it. It's not just one more thing you learn. And I think that's what I want to say about this whole group and these live streams is that you're going to get the most from these if you apply what you're hearing here. And it's not just one more thing you're dabbling with. Dabbling doesn't create a lot, especially in this, because you never go deep. And that's what I find is like, I'll talk to people and they're in the same place the next year, they're in the same place the next year, and the same place next year because they're dabbling and they're not going deep. And when you're willing to go deep, apply, embody, that's when you get the best results, and you'll be amazed how fast you can transform in a short amount of time. So let me know below what you're going to apply, and let me know also below what your aha is. I would love to know. Can't wait to support you, and I wonder what else is available for you now. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.